would like to say to BiLan that she made a great influence in my painting, that I always appreciated her telling me exactly where I stood in the process of painting. It was always clear to me what she was trying to get out of me, even though many times I couldn't achieve it. But I think that a lot of it has carried over to today. BiLan's painting style was a little foreign to me. It was formal in a classical sense, and you could tell that her painting training in China had been done with understanding of classical art. I think that we were all quite amazed that she could achieve the kind of painting that she was doing with such great technical expertise. She came here when this art school was just really in its formative years. She really had nothing to guide her except her own personal approach to teaching art. There had not been a formalized art school as it is known today until the year that she came. And she came the first year. There were some that were getting in it for a degree. There were others that were doing it as a hobby, a pastime. And those of us that were over 65, many of us, her teaching methods were always very kind and considerate, but she was very firm in trying to make us develop our own sense of painting styles and our own personality to come through the painting. She treated every student with consideration for the person and what they had, the background that they had in painting, and always using her resources and her training that she had, which was so classical in origin. Her ability to convey your own personality and not be restrictive, not put constraints. BiLan's style affected my ability to create something of my own. I think that she was so understanding of different personalities, and she was always very enthusiastic, very ebullient. We all were so taken with her gentle approach to each and every one of our styles. She was very positive. She would always tell you when you had overpainted something. She was very clear in trying to make us see the principles of painting, understand the principles of painting, and yet she understood that we were somewhat limited, unlike her, because we had not had her background. She was so enthusiastic, and her knowledge and her vocabulary were amazing, considering her background. The style of her painting was great motivation to all of us. We admired her techniques and especially her ability to paint the human figure. It was clear that she had wonderful understanding of the human body and the facial structure and the human structure. Often would get out a model to try to show us how different parts of the human figure body were connected to one another. What attracted me to BiLan's painting was her storytelling. We began to find out through her paintings, which she often exhibited to us in her home, about her tragic life growing up and her rearing in China under a repressive government. I think none of us was aware of how difficult life was in this time during the Chinese Cultural Communist Revolution. And she tried to explain that to us. The fact of her paintings being such a visual explanation of her life and the tragedies during her young life growing up. We all thought she was just amazing that she survived all of this. We all admired her ability to take her life stories and put them on a canvas. And all of her canvases do tell the story of her life in China. We were struck by her wonderful, warm personality, and it was clear to us that she had extensive knowledge, English words. The cultural differences were made so clear to us immediately when we tried to look at her painting and understand kind of things that she had endured during her life impacted everybody in the class. We were amazed that she could have such a happy and easy personality in dealing with all of us. We couldn't understand how she could have come through this great cultural impasse in her life that was obviously so difficult as it was conveyed in her art. I think that her influence on us as far as subject matter was impactful. I think that she was always wanting us to paint true to ourselves. She wanted us to develop our own sense of style. When I first started painting, she immediately said, well, I can see that you have been influenced by Impressionist painters, and that's the way you like to paint. Other people were totally different. She didn't really try to change anybody. She just tried to have them perfect their own way of approaching paint. I think that all of the influences have stayed with me. I know the way to mix color, the way to keep your brushes cleaned, which many of us didn't know how to do, and the importance of painting with clean brushes. I think that we were always aware of how well she understood painting of faces and bodies, and that she tried to convey to us the importance of learning all of those influences that she had grown up with. I think about her always when I'm doing a painting. I think about her conversation, her humor, her sensitivity, her kindness. And yet she was very firm with all of us about painting style and technique, mental approach to a paint. She was always wanting us to think through and think clearly. We became aware of all, somewhat of the tragedies that she endured. We were, none of us, I think, really understood. And of course, we had a variety of people in these classes, I being much the oldest person by many years. I don't know, we just were so sensitive to what she conveyed in her artwork. As we interacted with her socially, she would tell us stories of her past, and we were dumbstruck about it. We couldn't really imagine anybody surviving. She is a survivor. You could tell that she was very happy to be in the United States. She and I had a very affectionate relationship. I think she thought that I sort of livened up the classroom a little bit because I was so free with my comments about her and open. I came to understand from BiLan's artwork, reading her book, it was just amazing to me the fact that she had survived and come through all of the horrors of that repressive regime, that she could be the person that she is today with her kindness and her enthusiasm and her ability to adjust to a whole new culture so beautifully, and the fact that she is what her paintings conveyed. It is just monumental tragedy. The fact that her father, who was a well-known doctor, ended up taking his own life because he could not survive after being in prison. The fact that her sister was killed doing hard labor. All of the things that she came through, and she still has this magnanimous, wonderful, ebullient, happy personality and continues on with her life better than ever. I know that, when she was a young child and she was had to live in the morgue because they had no other place to live. I know that at times they were starving, and I remember her telling me that her grandmother found a mouse and dissected it so they could have something to eat. I mean, all of this is so unfamiliar to our way of life, and that the fact that people can go through this and still have a wonderful outlook on their present life that is obviously affected from her past. She would talk to us, and then of course we reread these tales in her book about how they traveled. They had to escape so many different places. It was so heartwarming to see that the person that she is today, that she has overcome all of these terrible obstacles. She had much of that to overcome, and she managed to do it. She talked about her life as a young person and going to school, and she was very fortunate that there were people who understood her talent, were able to make her realize that she had this great potential. She has managed to, and as a result of the sadness, that she managed to overcome. BiLan's personality was very unusual. She was always very direct, and we always had a good time together, and she could always laugh at all of her students and laugh at herself. But in essence, her character came through her personality, that she was able to articulate as well as she could. We so admired that, and that she would never stop trying to convey what she wanted to teach us in class. I had taken art classes. Before it was an art school, I had taken art classes at the college since about 1965. So I had taken off and on, and I had traveled a good deal. I had gone to some painting workshops in Italy and in France, and I had taken lots of workshops around in Mexico and different places. So I wasn't novice. I think BiLan gave me a sense of how to approach a painting with regards to the laying it out on a canvas in a sort of organized way. She always challenged me not to be quite as impulsive a painter as I tend to be. Tried to make me see the importance of laying out, setting up a painting or a study so that the subject matter was put on canvas in an appealing way. I think she was a great influence there.